Hello, all you lovely people. I'm Lisa with Living Life with Lisa, and on this channel we talk about living life with chronic illness. I personally have been diagnosed with early onset dementia, and I also have 2 copies of MTHFR, which is a gene mutation. And today is going to be a story time. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and a little bit about my life and some things I've done. And so I'm going to try to do these about once a week, give or take. And so today I'm going to talk about when I wrote books. When I was a kid in school, I was always getting really good grades in creative writing, and my mom was a big reader and loved books. And she always told me that I was going to be a writer someday. Well, I didn't grow up to be a writer. I grew up to be a music teacher and a musician. And so, anyway, so in 2008, my mother passed away. Well, in drawing a blank, 2011, I believe. 2010, 2011, I wrote a book. Let's try this again. In 2011, I wrote my first book, which is about, well, it's called Calvert the Third Grade Cowboy. And facing the in 2011, I wrote my first book, which was Calvert the Third Grade Cowboy, Facing the Bully. And it's basically a kid's book, 2nd, 3rd grade level, reading about Calvert, who is an adopted child that is bullied by Ernie, the school bully. And they, through the story, you find out that Ernie's life's not so great either, and there's a reason he's acting out. And circumstances come up that force them to be trapped together in a storage room when the school catches on fire, and they've got to decide whether or not they're going to put their differences aside and work together to get saved, or if they're going to stay enemies. And so that's basically what that book is. And that one, I have 3 boys, and so this one is Calvert. And it's loosely based on, very loosely, I mean real loosely based on my second son, whose name in the books are Calvert. My youngest is Ethan in the book, and the oldest one is Jason in the book. So I call this the Calvert book, and I call the Jason book the Jason book. That's not its title. But I don't have an Ethan book. I don't have one for my 3rd child because I got sick in the meantime. But I'll have to figure something out. So did Calvert. And what I said about is that my mom didn't get to see it. And this is a hardback book, and this is the only hardback book there is of this, because I got hardback copies of all my books, but the rest are all sold paperback. And then the next one I wrote was real easy to write because I have this ability to, I can almost put out a bet to anybody out there. No matter what kind of lawnmower you have, no matter how good it is, no matter how wonderful it is, no matter how well it runs, I can break it. Give it to me. I can break it within about 15 minutes. And so when we moved from a little house, a lake house that had just a little bitty yard in it, and you hand mowed it, out to 5 acres, I knew that I had to get a riding lawnmower. And so I did some research, and I did travel around. I tried to find something that was used, and we went around. My kids were at that time 2, 4, and 5, and so they were all in car seats, and I was hauling them around all over northern Indiana to look at riding lawnmowers. And I was writing down all of our adventures about this lawnmower on Facebook. So I finally got a lawnmower, went and bought one, and got it. And that thing was the I forgot the word, thing that makes the blades turn. And the gut wraps around and like a rope. Anyway, that thing kept falling off, and I got so good at it that I'd have to mow looking, and I had to see if the grass was shooting out. If it wasn't shooting out, I went back, had to wait for the lawnmower to cool down, come back out, figure out, put it back in place, and start mowing, turn around, do it again. So I wrote on Facebook my 7 steps of mowing, and other people added their 7 steps of things, and we went all the way through, and it was all Facebook stuff. And at one point, it broke down, and I said, lawnmower 1, Lisa 0, but at least I'm not in pieces all over the front yard. And so people were responding to that, and it was just always something. Even to this day, I can just put on Facebook, I have an issue, and I'm not going to tell you what it is, and the first guess will be lawnmower, lawnmower, lawnmower. And so when I got ready to write my second book, I asked people if they wanted the second book, or if they wanted Lawnmower Chronicles. And they've all voted overwhelmingly on Facebook for Lawnmower Chronicles. It's a real easy read. It's for grown-ups, because kids aren't going to find it amusing. There's not a word in this book that is not true. I filled in, it didn't take long to write, because it's mostly from, I got permission from the people that posted on my Facebook, and it's mostly our Facebook conversations, and then I filled in what was going on around the scenes with each of these posts, and it has quite an amazing end to the story. And the oddest thing about the whole thing, I think, well, the whole thing's been strange, but the oddest thing is this book, and this is Lawnmower Chronicles, and I have a picture of my boys on the lawnmower that would have been more fitting than this guy. It would have been funnier for the book, but I didn't use their picture. But the most unusual thing I love about this is that this book took off in the UK for some reason, and I really don't know why. At the time that this was released, I knew not a soul in the UK. I've done no advertising in the UK. I've never even been to the UK. And why this book took off in the UK, I don't know, but I am so thankful and grateful for it, because that's where this book seemed to be the most popular. And it's a really short one. It's, gosh, didn't even have very many pages. It takes about 20 minutes to read. 48 pages. It's a whopper. And so that's the Lawnmower Chronicles. And then for what would have been my mom's 70th birthday, I wanted to release my next book. And so I wrote The Houseboat. And I call this my Jason book, because it's about Jason, which is my oldest son. Well, he's the main character in it. This story did not happen to him. It is completely fiction. Fiction, fiction, non-fiction. And and this one's a little bit more dark, and it's more for the junior high, young adult age. But I wrote this book, and I waited for it to be released. I asked for it to be released on February 26th, 2013, because that would have been my mother's 70th birthday, and I wanted to do that in honor of her. And on the 26th of February, this book went out, and on the 7th of March of that same year, I had my stroke. And I have yet to read this book. I don't remember the story. I have a young man in the area that was a fan of my stories, not so much the lawnmower, but the other two, and particularly this one, and he wanted to talk about it, and I couldn't remember any of the characters he was talking about. I couldn't remember who they were, and it was just is really sad. And this one took me almost a year to write. This is a whopper. It's a long book. It's not like the lawnmower, but I really don't have any memory of this one. I don't remember what this one's about. I know it's about the kids getting together to do boathouse. I can read the back, tell you what it's about, but I don't remember. And that's one of the sad things, because when I write this kind of stuff, the fiction, what happens is I outline it, and then the characters take on a life of their own, and no matter what I've outlined, no matter what I've decided, the characters go in my mind, and they start talking and having a conversation and doing their activities, and then I just write what they're doing and what they're saying. They come up with a personality of their own. Never has a book ended the way I thought it would end. It's always, I write the outline, but it's always different, because it takes on a life of its own, and I follow the characters in my brain. Now, with dementia and the memory problems, I can't do that anymore. I can't get there's not enough continuity. And I have trouble with writing that kind of thinking to write those stories. So I don't know how I'm going to do the third kids book, but we're going to have to get that done before long, and do something. And maybe I can get somebody to help me. I don't know. We'll see. But that's one of the things I really need to get done. But that I thought that was fun. I've had a lot of fun with, and I got to go to New York because of this one. New York City, because of Calvert. I went there, and I gave it, or I showed it. No, I'm using the wrong words. And I'm not going to edit this, because I'm having word finding problems tonight, and I'm having problems staying focused tonight. And this is true. This is life, and sometimes you need to see this. I'm not going to edit this out. I'm doing this raw. But I got to go to New York to present this to TV and film producers. They did not buy it, which is okay, but I got to see a Broadway musical, and that was cool. I got to stay in a hotel, and outside my window of this hotel, I was on the corner of Broadway and Times Square, and outside my window, straight across, eye level, was the ball for 2012. So I went in 2012 for Calvert to present it, and it was so cool. It was so amazing. And sometime I will do just the story of New York, because that's a story in itself, because I loved New York. But Calvert's opened a lot of doors for me. Jason, unfortunately, I don't remember anything about the story. And Lawnmower did well in the UK, and is all absolutely true. And it's funny. I think it's funny. And with that, I'm going to let you go. Have a good day. Many blessings. Remember to live life to the fullest. Remember to live life with no regrets. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.